Yeah, great game all around. Of course, first half, our guys did a nice job, got us off to a great start. Malik was dynamite. The defense was pretty strong, at that point. We were forcing some tough shots. Didn't clean them up all the time, but, did a nice job overall. They, of course, came back. You're not going to win a game in the first 5 minutes or the first 10 minutes or the first half, for that matter. And certainly that was the case tonight. We did not get off to a great start in the second half. Virginia Tech had a lot to do with that, of course, and, they did a nice job of putting some pressure on us, at the point of attack, but then also offensively, they got off to a good start, made a couple of threes, which closed the gap. Loved how our guys responded, when it closed to 51 all. I think our guys just did a nice job down the stretch of figuring the game out and made some big plays. Ugo was a monster. His shot was huge, and just his overall play. Sam was great and did a nice job, of course. Those two guys were the player of the game to me. But just a ton of respect for Coach Young and Virginia Tech, and they're really a tough team all around.
You had the number 2 seed in the ACC tournament locked up before this game. You weren't really playing for an NCAA tournament bid. How did you frame this game and its importance to your team beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, we just, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Certainly we want to win the game regardless. We want to put our best foot forward. We knew that they would come out, and so we talked a lot about that, just their where they were sitting, at the current state. And, they weren't going to get in just by beating us today. They're going to need to continue to win and play well in Charlotte as well. And that's just how it is at this time of year. But I wanted our guys to focus on, just the game in itself. How are we going to win the game? Because there are two different teams that had played in Blacksburg. Both are better, at this juncture of the season. So we needed to play well to win, and our guys understood that. And the biggest thing I wanted them to do was just to relax and play. And I thought they came out with a really good fire and a relaxed but aggressive, way. We did talk about NCAA tournament seeding and just painted a picture for them that we are playing for something right now. Even though this thing is set in Charlotte, it's not set, past that. And so we wanted to do our part here at home. And you want to play well going into that anyway. You want to be playing your best basketball down the stretch.
Yeah, you mentioned Ugo's shot. He had the 4 free throws too before that, before the 3. How has he improved as a shooter under you guys, and what have you seen that's given him confidence in those situations?
Yeah, he practices it every day, and obviously you notice the rim protection and the defense. He's an incredible defender and should be Defensive Player of the Year to me. I know there's some other great players out there, but we've got 2 that are pretty darn good. But he's worked at it every single day, and I thought today he stepped right in and let it go. And he's had some hesitant moments over the last couple of weeks, with the 3-point shot, and he did it exactly like he practices, and just stepped right in and fired it.
Yeah, Ryan, at the beginning of the year, we talked so much about where these guys were defensively, learning your style, fitting together. As you go into March, how do you feel about what they've learned defensively?
Yeah, I feel like they've learned a ton. The defensive rebounding certainly has improved. The point of screen defense has gotten a little bit better. Virginia Tech really challenges you with their pick and roll. They are very physical with their screening. They do a good job of throwing it over the top and finding guys behind, the shooters. They run guys off of screens. And so when you're playing them, it tests you, from a physical standpoint. And I think our guys have stepped up, over the course of the season and have one of the better, defenses, in our conference.
Coach, 9 assists for Dallin Hall today, including 3 in this 2-minute sequence in the second half where you're looking to sort of keep that lead in hand. He may have had 0 points from foul out, but sort of what does his play...
He does everything for us. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even want to take him out, but I had to take him out there for a minute just to give him a blow so he could finish the game. And, he's the ultimate leader. He's not afraid in big moments, and he defends and hustles. I mean, we showed the guys at halftime the play that he made, where he just hustled that ball down. He's just unbelievable, with his commitment to winning, and couldn't ask for a better guy to start this journey off with. And just that group of people in general, the seniors, to have them set the tone, for the program. We're obviously following a monster. Coach Bennett's unbelievable, and the players that played for him, and these guys want to be a part of that, and a winning part of that. And they chose Virginia for all the right reasons, and I just congratulated them in there. 15-3, second seed. We certainly wanted the first seed, but we didn't get it. 27-4, a lot to be proud of. And it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for those 5 guys, all right, that made the choice. And there were only 2 of them that knew one another, or 3 of them, I guess, Dallin as well, Dallin, Devin, and Malik. But they all in their own way have impacted this place and made the most of their time, here. And I'm excited for what's to come for them, as we head into the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament.
Ryan, the block shots are easy to see on the highlight reel and the stat sheet. But how important also are the altered shots and maybe even the shots that aren't taken? There was one sequence when Virginia Tech got 2 offensive rebounds and never even tried to go back up. They were kicking it out.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you'll see guards sometimes go down in there, and then they run into Johan or Ugo, and then they just keep moving out. And Virginia Tech's excellent at playing that 2-man pick and roll. They do a really good job of getting their guard open, but then they play with the roller, and they're really tough to block out in those situations. But our guys they're well schooled, and they do a really good job at protecting our rim.
Hey, Coach. Just you mentioned Bennett, and that's who you took over for. You've had a very deep coaching career, sitting alongside a lot of names, even in Virginia Tech, who you just played, sitting alongside Greenberg. Back to your Hampton-Sydney days, maybe a name in Jeff Nottingham. I don't know if anyone comes up to you specifically that was a big mentor that got you to the stage to take Virginia to their most wins since the 2018
How do you know
season.
Jeff? That's my fraternity brother. How do you know
That's
him?
my uncle, and I just was
Oh,
curious
I
if that
love
was
it.
the.
I love it.
I was curious if that was maybe a name that stood out, or if there might have been a couple more.
Yeah,
in
we call him
between.
Bone. He's like 6'7". Sean Bradley. He looked like Sean Bradley.
He might be
he's-
6'6" now. He's a little
yeah.
older.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. Great guy. He and Griff Aldridge are roommates. So let me think about that. You caught me off guard. I can't remember. Oh, talking about mentors. Mentors. Yeah, certainly my father. It all starts with him. I wouldn't be where I'm at, if it wasn't for he and my mom. Just in their parenting over the years, I wasn't a great kid sometimes, but they held me accountable when I wasn't, and allowed me to chase what I love to do. And I love to play basketball. I grew up playing tennis here, and tennis was hard. I mean, being out there by yourself, you can't look at anybody else to say, why didn't you pass me the ball there or whatever. There's nobody else to blame. But my mom was great at driving me around, everywhere. But Coach Shaver was unbelievable for me, and the players at Hampton-Sydney. He showed me how to be on a true team and what that meant. It's not about one person; it's about the team. And we developed lifelong relationships there. Still have them. These guys come to the games all the time. And then, from there, I've had great mentors in coaching. I've been really lucky. I never actually worked for my father, but I've had, so many others, that, Coach Greenberg gave me my start, and then we reunited at Virginia Tech, and Eddie Biedenbach and Larry Davis and, Alan Major and certainly, I'm very, very, very fortunate. Jeff Jones, of course, JJ's meant the world to me. I've never made a decision, in my life that's a big decision without, communicating, with him. And so I've been really, really lucky in my life. There's no question about it.
Yeah, you mentioned Malik earlier. He came in this year, obviously, as a big-time scorer from the WCC and had a lot of success. What has it made about his adjustment that he's made this year to be able to just kind of be the guy, the scorer that you need him in certain situations?
Yeah, he's really improved his overall game, and I know we're really proud of him and the strides that he's made, not only on the offensive end but on the defensive end. Like, he's made major strides, and his rebounding, his toughness, his ability to, when it's not going well, and I'll take him out of the game and then I put him right back in, and he just answers. And he got us off to an amazing start today. And that shot that he made from almost half court was huge, at the end of the clock. And he's got a really bright future in basketball. So I'm really proud of him. And his character is rock solid. His family's rock solid. And we need him to play well down the stretch here in March Madness.
Coach, Toby Lawal was absent on the New Year's Eve date. What was your plan today to kind of mitigate him on the interior?
Yeah, Toby's a great player and a great person. Had the good fortune to coach him for a year at VCU, and just an awesome worker, an awesome human being, great student, about all the right things. You'll never see an athlete like that in your lifetime. The things that he can do on the court, are just incredible. And so we wanted to make sure we, first and foremost, just kept him in front of us. And, when he's allowed to get behind you and pick and roll, he's going to dunk it. There's nothing you can do about it. If you don't block him out, he's going to jump above you and get the ball. And but I can't say enough good things about him. We wanted to switch and then take our chances with guarding him on the post.
Coach, you had 3 turnovers in the first half.
And
then you
6
had,
to start
and
the
then
second.
6 in the first 10 minutes of the second half. What do you think shifted there, and what changed with Virginia Tech's defense?
Yeah, we were just sloppy. I think their pressure picked up, certainly. You have to give them credit as well. They were going for it and came out, in an aggressive way. But we've just got to be better with the ball. And we talked about it in the timeout, and the guys settled down and began to play a little bit better. We can't let our offense hurt our defense like that.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.